What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 415th episode of the Pokemon Podcast. It's super effective. I'm your host, SBJ. With me, Greg.
Hello. It is I. Here again. I'm tired, y'all. I woke up from a nap.
You better not be tired. We got a lot to talk about.
I'm excited to talk about it. You just need to give me a moment to rev back up. I took a lovely nap beforehand so I could be back at full power to face the slings and arrows of the Pokemon fans outraged by the tragedy that happened on Wednesday. The national nightmare continues.
Oh, dear.
Angry Pokemon fan Will also here.
I ain't angry. I love it. I love it. I thought Greg just said his name was Pierre, which is odd. Also, strangely enough, I'm wearing joggers for the first time ever.
Ooh, you joined that sweatpants life.
No. Take a step back, youngster.
Excuse
me.
Joey.
I've been wearing sweatpants for a long time. These are joggers. Right? Joggers are incredibly uncomfortable sweatpants.
Oh, I didn't know.
Why are you wearing them?
Because I had them, and I just woke up from a nap, and I was like, I gotta throw something on to record this podcast.
Since when?
You can tell we're serious when we put pants on.
I always wear pants when I'm podcasting. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got a big show. There's an announcement. We're going to talk about that. There were two parts of the announcement. Everyone forgot the first part of the announcement. And then we're going to do that. And then we're going to take a break. And then we're going to talk about the story of the Sword and Shield DLC. So if it's been over 2 weeks, we'll spend about 45 seconds on it because that's how long the story is. And then we'll move on. So if you don't want spoilers, we'll give you a warning for that. Although I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you probably bought the Sword and Shield DLC. You probably already beat the story. So I'm not too worried about that. But jumping right into news, there was two Nintendo Directs. One was the one that they did the morning of the Isle of Armor to announce the Isle of Armor and Pokemon Smile and what was the other things? Cafe Mix and Zeraora.
Yeah,
probably one other thing I can't remember.
Look, that was 2 weeks ago before the world
turned upside down.
Right.
Have you guys started playing Cafe Mix at all?
Yeah, I did. I started.
I haven't gotten there yet. Have we hit 1 million Zeraoras?
We'll get there.
Well, it's part of the news. But
Okay. Oh, sorry. Nobody gave me the outline before we started. I don't know where we are.
Oh my gosh.
Now people are going to turn off the podcast. They're like, oh, we hit the Zeraora. That was the only news we needed. All right.
That's all I needed to know.
The first part of the news was Cafe Mix is available worldwide of this past week's 11-minute Pokemon Presents, I think it was called. So Cafe Mix available worldwide, Android, Switch, iOS. I've installed it. I have not played it. I have only
Am
heard...
I the only person that's played it in this round table?
Look, I've been doing research all week about these silly Max mushrooms.
Nothing silly about a Max mushroom, my friend.
Maximum mushrooms.
The amount of misinformation in the Pokemon world is
what?
Vast and deep.
Has the Pokemon world changed so much that misinformation has spread? I remember when you could find a Mew under that truck.
Yeah. We've long since come from the days of false rumors to less false rumors. The second part of the announcement was a brand new game called Pokémon UNITE.
Yeah.
I would probably say they spent about a solid 65 seconds on the Cafe Mix announcement, and then the rest was for Pokémon UNITE. So it's a brand new game. Yeah. I'm going to read the press release. I have 4 other articles pulled up regarding this, because there's a lot to dissect here. There is a reason to be upset about this game. There is a reason to not like this game. And then there's the bunch of people that are optimistic about this because it is a brand new type of Pokemon game for the first time. So the announcement says, Pokémon UNITE announced for the Nintendo Switch and mobile devices. It's a cross-platform game being developed in a partnership with Tencent June 24th, today the Pokemon Presents video presentation. Ishihara, president and CEO of the Pokemon Company, unveiled Pokémon UNITE, a brand. UNITE is in all caps for whatever it's worth. A new game made for the Nintendo Switch system and mobile devices. UNITE is being developed in a partnership with Tencent's games. I'm going to say it's Taimai, capital T, lowercase I, capital M, lowercase I, Studios. I could be Timmy.
I think that's Timmy.
Yeah. Timmy.
I'm going to assume it's Taimai, but...
Why would you... In no language does that make sense. Teamy would be more sensible.
You think it's Teamy?
No, I think it's Timmy.
I think it's Timey.
Timey?
Yeah.
Timey?
Yeah.
We'll probably refer to it as Tencent going forward, because that's one of the complaints here. Pokemon Unite is the first strategic Pokemon team battle game. I detect no lies in that sentence. Players will face off against each other in 5-on-5 team battles. During the battles, players will cooperate with teammates to catch Pokemon, level up and evolve their own Pokemon, and they will need to defeat their opponent's Pokemon while trying to earn more points than the opposing team within an allotted time. Pokemon Unite will be free to start. And that's it. That's the actual announcement. Then goes about the Pokemon Company. If you don't know, Pokemon Company International manages outside for Asia, brand licensing, marketing, trading card game, animated series, home entertainment. It was first launched in Japan in 1996. More interesting here about Taimai, or Team Timmy, or however you say it.
Timey.
Timey is a subsidiary of Tencent, and it is a leading global video game development team headquarters in Shenzhen, China. Has an office in Los Angeles, Shanghai, and Chengdu, China. They strive to create high quality, high fidelity, and highly accessible games across a wide variety of genres. Founded in 2008, they have developed titles including Honor of Kings, Speed Drifters, Crossfires, Arena of Valor, which is a MOBA game available on Switch and mobile. Probably the thing that Unite will be closest to. And most recently, Call of Duty Mobile. Now let's talk about Tencent. Tencent was launched in 2003 and has since grown into the leading global platform for game development, publishing, and operations, as well as the operator of the largest online game community in China. It is dedicated to offering engaging, high-quality, interactive entertainment experience. There's a lot of buzzwords here. Experiences for all players. Tencent offers more than 140 self-developed and licensed games across 200 countries and regions, which provides hundreds of millions of users cross-platform interactive. Some of their games would be Honor of Kings, PUBG Mobile, and League of Legends.
I don't see how League is not a direct competitor to Arena of Valor unless it's because they don't cross platforms.
They are direct competitors.
But they're made by the same company, technically.
I will get to what Tencent owns and makes, because there's a lot more. It goes a lot deeper than that.
Oh, layers and layers and layers.
Are they making Dota too? Because then that's just...
They're making League of Dota.
Furthermore, Tencent actively collaborates with overseas games such as SEA, Netmarble, Supercell, and more to form strategic partnerships to launch new games. And then they go on about what Nintendo. We know about Nintendo. We know about Pokemon. The interesting things here is Taimai and Tencent. Okay. There's a lot of news articles regarding this. Put them aside for now. They showed Pokemon Unite. What'd you guys think?
I mean, I'm super excited. I enjoy the occasional MOBA. I have played League. I have played Dota. I have played Arena of Valor. And as long as all the players of those games keep playing their own games and fresh, nice people play Pokemon Unite, everything will be fine. No Teemo mains in my Pokemon Unite.
This is good. I didn't know your MOBA history. Can you explain to
what?
Well,
I have MOBA history.
All right. Well, look, we got to save your dialogue for the new Masters update later.
Oh man!
Wow! No.
Will, hit me with it. What is a MOBA? I've never played. Pokemon UNITE looks cool. What am I doing in this game? How is it similar to League, Arena of Valor, Dota?
Oh, it's exactly the same as all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's so not any variation. And I mean, it does seem to be very similar to Arena of Valor of all of them. But basically, you have a map. It's like a mirror map. Both sides are the same. There's nothing fancy on one side that the other side's not getting. Everybody starts from the far end of the map, so like the far corner, and you head out and you have little towers, but it's not a tower defense game, although you do have to defend your towers. And your goal is to basically keep progressing from your corner of the screen to your opponent's corner of the screen to take out their home base in the final end of glorious explosiveness. And typically there are 3 channels, 3 routes across the map that are the primary routes.
I've heard the term lanes.
3 lanes, yes. And then you have somebody who's a top, a mid, or a bottom. And, it's basically, which characters typically you would, put like a support character in one lane and a different kind of character in another lane. And there's also the jungle, which is the part of the map that's not the lanes, and you can usually find other things. I think in this announcement they said that you can find other Pokemon on the map that aren't part of either team, and when you destroy those or make them faint, you get buffs. Buffs, a big word in the MOBA world.
Okay.
Get buffs for your team. And so probably that's what's going to happen in the jungle is you'll have your jungle person go out there, find whatever Pokemon are wandering around, knock them out, and then get those buffs. There's usually minions. I haven't seen any minions in Pokemon Unite, which are sort of NPCs that just very single-mindedly go from one base, heading towards the other base, and they start attacking towers whenever they get close to one. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. And there's also typically a store with equipment, and as you are playing the game, you generate gold or whatever currency. And it's like it resets each game, right? Every game you start from 0. You set what you want to purchase from the store, which are upgrades that once you hit the certain amount of gold from destroying your enemy or other characters on the map, then you can purchase those upgrades and equip them, and they give you more advantages as you go. It's a lot of moving pieces in a MOBA, but it's basically go from the left to the right, take out as much as you can along the way.
Okay, a couple follow-up questions here. Greg, feel free to chime in. Are all MOBAs 5 vs 5, or is this some weird thing that Pokemon Unite's doing? I feel like they missed an opportunity on 6 vs 6, but maybe
I'm not 100% sure, but I think that sounds right.
5x5 is fairly common.
Okay.
I can't say for sure that it's all, but that's pretty.
That's like League, and we're probably League is the biggest MOBA, right?
I think your Dota friends would disagree with you, but sure.
Yeah, they're both similar. They're both like as high up as the other. Like I couldn't tell you which makes more money.
So I think the ranking is League is the most toxic. Dota is like the people who got tired of playing League but still need to get that MOBA fix. And Arena of Valor is everybody who wants to play MOBAs but doesn't have a good PC.
Okay.
I played Heroes of the Storm.
That's not a real game.
It is too.
What I'm looking at right now is League is at 300,000 people watching on Twitch, and Dota is at 167,000 watching on Twitch. Twitch, obviously the end-all indicator of a popularity of a game.
Of course.
When they did the announcement, I went to Twitch shortly after because people were like, oh, Pokemon's 6 years late to the MOBA thing. And League was number 1 on Twitch at the time, and Dota was number 4 on Twitch at the time. And I was like, are they really that late? There's a lot of people watching these games.
Yeah.
Well, and 6 years is not the right
timeline
timeline because I was playing League in 2013, which is 7 years.
Scandal.
Is there even an argument? Like, yeah, I get it. Battle royals are very big. MOBAs didn't exist 20 years ago.
Oh, when are we going to get a Pokemon Battle Royale? Pokemon Fortnite.
But as long as like the gameplay is good and adaptive, I mean, like they keep making shooters every year. They keep making racing games every year. So I don't.
The idea that the expiration date on the MOBA style game has come and passed is patently false.
Right, man, no one's playing shooters anymore.
Nobody's playing RPGs anymore.
I mean, I'm sorry. Colleges and universities are just beginning to scratch the surface of MOBAs as esports. Like, if your college is talking about starting up an esports program, they're talking MOBAs and they're talking Fortnite. But yeah, MOBAs are in the mix.
Yeah.
Those competitive league things, heck, there's so much money in that. I don't understand why, but it's there.
People love it. People love the 5x5.
I don't think I've ever played a MOBA.
Shame.
I did install Heroes of the Storm back in the day.
That's not real.
I went through the tutorial and it was too handholdy. I was like, this reminds me too much of Sun and Moon. I gotta move. No, I'm just kidding.
You are the worst.
It just didn't grab me. And I thought, out of all of them, Heroes would grab me because I was at the time playing a lot of Diablo 3. But that. it just didn't grab me. I've definitely played team-based games, and I think some people were arguing with me that Overwatch was very MOBA-y, but I was like, I just thought Overwatch was like a team-based shooter.
I mean, there's a the MOBA feel of Overwatch in that I think that Overwatch still has 5 players on one side and 5 players on the other, or is it 4?
5 sounds right.
Well, I mean, it's a battle arena, but it's not in that same top down.
It's not the top down, but it does have the similar, like, you're on a team, you have objectives to get their points to connect to, and you have to defend things. I mean, it has some of the standard MOBA
characteristics.
Yeah, without being an actual MOBA.
I bought Overwatch, played it for a sum total of 5 minutes, and said, this game is not for me. Goodbye, $60. And so that's about as much as I know.
I've watched a lot of videos of people playing it, but I knew when Overwatch wasn't the next World of Warcraft MMO, and that it was not at all what they had said it was going to, what the type of game it was going to be, and it became what Overwatch is, which people love it, but it just was absolutely not the game that I wanted. I was like, okay. People have a lot of fun with it, but it just was never the game that I wanted.
Greg, we didn't get your thoughts of the announcement.
I'm excited for it. I've dabbled in the MOBA, not a ton, but I think any of the offshoot games where they just sort of try to expand out and see what fits and what works. It's certainly fun to see them playing with new ideas. It could be hot garbage. It could be a lot of fun. There is something about playing the Pokemon and capturing other Pokemon and sort of having a team aspect that doesn't exist in any other Pokemon product that has me excited to try Pokemon Unite.
Yeah, that was when I saw it, I was like, wow, this looks cool. MOBA, never played a MOBA. This is my opportunity to play MOBA. Don't know if I like MOBAs, but I really saw it as equal to like Pokémon Tournament.
Yeah.
When they showed Pokémon Tournament, I was like, man, I don't like fighting games, but this looks rad. I can play Chandelure. I can play Suicune. I can play Weavile. And then I played it and I was like, I'm glad they made this. I'm glad somebody liked this. I didn't like this. But because I didn't like this, I need to run to the internet and let everyone know that I did not like this product. I really wanted to like Pokémon Tournament, but I just don't like fighting games.
I enjoyed Pokémon Tournament for what it was, but fighting games aren't my main jam, so I played it for as long as I played it and then left.
Yeah, I think I put probably 12, 15 hours into Pokémon Tournament. I wouldn't, if it on Wii U. We talked about how Pokémon Tournament sold 2.1 million copies on Switch, which is very good.
Yep.
Actually, as we're recording this, they're doing the Pokémon Player Cup World Champion this weekend, and I tried to watch a little bit of it, and even though I like Pokemon and I understand how Pokken Tournament works, I was not very interested in watching it. Hey, some people like that. And that's kind of where I see Unite, right? I'm going to try Unite. It's free.
Yeah.
I have nothing to lose. If it was $20, maybe $60, I'd probably even purchase it and give it a try. And then, if I don't like it, I'd just move on with life. There's plenty of Pokemon games, in my opinion, that I do not like and that I've been very vocal about on this show. Pokemon Duel, for example, Pokemon Rumble Rush. Didn't even give that a try. I didn't like Auras when it first came out. I've slightly changed my mind on that game over time, but to me, if you don't like a Pokemon game, it's very easy to ignore it. I think, okay, so let's get to the complaints here.
Wait. Let me tell you, first off, before we get into that, the top 3 things you're going to hear when you start playing Pokemon Unite, guaranteed.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it's in this order, but these are the top 3 things. Number 1, why are you playing that Pokemon wrong?
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Number 2, why are you playing a Pokemon that you clearly don't know how to play?
Okay.
Yep.
Number 3, I'm reporting you for poor sportsmanship just because you're not a good player.
Okay. What? Can I add a number 4?
Who's your main?
Why are you not playing Charizard?
Yeah.
And when Charizard's not on the screen, we need to ask where Charizard is.
Okay, Simpsons.
Okay.
Do we even know the lineup for Unite yet? Like, do we know everything that's in Unite?
We know a handful of Pokemon. I can name them for you. We know that there's Blastoise, Venusaur, Charizard.
Talonflame, OP.
Perfect.
We have Gengar, Machamp, and Snorlax. We have Pikachu, Clefable, which is
I'm into Clefable.
probably the weirdest one out of the bunch. Lucario, of course. They got to keep pushing Lucario, the Roman Reigns of Pokemon. And Talonflame is the ones we've seen so far.
Talonflame is way overpowered.
Yeah.
We've got, here, number 4. Somebody nerf Talonflame.
Yeah, nerf Talonflame. Nerf. So we have to assume, given by the gameplay that we saw, that they all start in their base lowest form, because part of the gameplay was leveling up.
Right. They specifically said in the trailer, you start at level 1, you will evolve and level up throughout. They saw a Charmander evolve into a Charmeleon by knocking out something in the jungle, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then eventually it was a Charizard. I don't know how that works for Snorlax or Pikachu.
So, but, I mean, do you think it's going to be like Munchlax to Snorlax, Pichu to Pikachu to Raichu?
Yeah.
Or are there going to be some that just start at level 1 at their full powered form, which is going to create a problem?
I know that that's a thing in League and Dota, right? You start at level 1 every game and you get stuff. So I would assume that you start at like Riolu and then you go to Lucario. That's what I would guess.
So Cleffa, Clefairy, Clefable. That's my main. Okay. I know how to play it. I use a unique strategy. When I can finally power up and go off, you will all be impressed. Stop harassing me.
It's called ulting when you use your ult. Thank you.
We don't know that there's ult in here yet.
It is the R key on your keyboard.
Okay.
No, they did. They specifically said each Pokemon will have like a superpower thing that will determine the match. I'm like, okay, it's going to have an ult.
So the complaints, the issues here, there's like 3 specific complaints. Number 1, I've played MOBAs. I don't like MOBAs. That's
okay.
A completely fair complaint. If you've played League, you played the Arena of Valor, you played Dota. You don't like it? That's a super fair complaint.
But what are they complaining about? Just that, because the problem is, it's not a fair complaint if you're saying, therefore, this game shouldn't exist.
Oh,
it's a complaint saying, I'm not going to play this game because I don't like them. But if it's used, as I've seen it a lot, saying, and therefore they should have never have made this game, that is not a valid complaint, because you don't like it doesn't mean it shouldn't have been created.
Right. Yes. Correct. But if somebody came into my stream or whatever and they're like, I'm bummed, or like, the announcement didn't do it for me, and I was like, oh, what did you like? What was the issue with the announcement? They're like, I played a lot of League. I just don't care about MOBAs anymore. That's fine.
That's fine.
There's nothing wrong with that. Complaint number 2 is it wasn't whatever remake in the entire world you want. It wasn't Let's Go Meryl. It wasn't Hey You, Girafarig. It wasn't Pokemon Z. It wasn't Sparkling Diamond, Flashy Pearl. It wasn't any remake. But Steve, in the last week's trailer, they had a Chikorita and a Raikou behind Ishihara. And obviously, because they had Gen 2 plushes, and I ignore the fact that they literally had Gen 1 plushes and Gen 7 plushes and everything else. But if I only focus on the Gen 2 plushes, Greg...
Why am I being attacked?
Why was there no Hey You Meryl 2 remake? Did you not see the Suicune behind him?
I did. And that just says that Suicune is in Pokemon UNITE. All of those Pokemon that were shown back there are playable Pokemon in Pokemon UNITE. You just drew the wrong conclusion.
So this was a huge complaint. People set their own expectations. They overhyped it. The mental gymnastics of people being like, this announcement would have been better if they didn't make us wait a week is a really weird complaint of like, because they made us wait a week, poor you. What did you camp outside for a week? Did you like not leave your house because you were so enthralled with excitement that them saying you have to wait a week for more news possibly affected your day-to-day life?
Look, I have not slept for a week waiting for my Johto remakes Gen 20, and I didn't get them, and therefore the Pokemon Company hates me.
I just don't buy the excuse of like, well, if they didn't wait a week, people wouldn't have been as mad. Like,
they would have been as mad.
The Pokemon Company needs to listen to some more Lana Del Rey. Hope is a dangerous thing for a woman like me, right? Can't give people hope and then yank that rug out from under their feet.
I rewatched the original Present, and they just said, we have a big announcement next week. That's all they said.
Yes,
and then
that's all they said.
On Twitter, they said, hey, just a reminder, Pokemon announcement on Wednesday. What did you like to go to the length of saying, oh, this is Game Freak's fault. Also not Game Freak's fault because they had nothing to do with announcement A and announcement B, but this is the Pokemon Company's fault that they overhyped it. And now we're upset.
The fault? There's no fault.
There's no fault.
No crime.
Even if you believe for a second they overhyped it, what did you want them to say at the end of the conference? We got a big announcement next week, or hey, we got some average old game made by a Chinese company next week. Some of you will like it, some of you won't. See you then. Like what?
See you then. Peace out.
0 companies in the entire world will not say any new game is not a big announcement. 0 companies. Amazon will say we have a big announcement next week. You know what it is? We put Alexa in a toaster. Done. Big announcement.
They did?
I'm actually sure that product exists. I don't know.
Alexa,
this is the
dark
same,
brown.
The Pokemon Company is the same company. Let me tell you. 2016, the World Championship. They said, we have a big announcement. Does anyone remember what that big announcement was? I remember what it is.
I don't
which
remember.
Year are we looking at?
2016. 2016.
Where was the World Championship?
I don't think, I don't know, DC?
No, that was 2015.
Hawaii? I think Hawaii. Or maybe it was after. Anyways, it was the year Sun and Moon came out in November.
Wasn't Mega Slowbro.
Their big announcement, that's what they said. They said, we have a big announcement at Worlds. Their big announcement was they showed Brawler. That was their big announcement at the World Championship. They showed one new Pokemon. Not even that cool of a Pokemon was Brawler. This is not a new pattern or thing that the Pokemon Company has done. I would argue that showing a brand new Pokemon is a big announcement. I think it's pretty big. They showed a brand new Pokemon never before seen at the World Championship. I would also go on the record saying showing a brand new Pokemon video game is a big announcement, whether or not you like it.
Put it in the record. Put it in the record. Official statement and testimony. This will be used against you in the court of Pokemon law. I will have you know.
I just don't buy that, like, because they made us wait a week, because I had to get up at 6 a.m. In California to watch this, and it was 11 minutes long, because they used the word big announcement, that this is their fault that people are mad.
It is not. Okay, life lesson. You all are in control of your own emotions and the stories that you tell yourselves. If the story that you told yourself over a week is that you were going to get exactly what you wanted, you are telling yourself a false story, and therefore you are mad that you lied to yourself for a week. Putting that on somebody else is called projecting. Stop projecting your disappointment in your own manifestation of excitement that was based off of nothing on another company or another series of people. Also, the statement that I can't believe Pokemon is wasting resources on a game that I don't want, they are not making this game.
Well, gosh, that we could do a whole nother podcast about how games like how like half the internet just thinks making a game is so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, copy and paste.
It's just copy and paste.
You just get that. What is that engine called? Unreal. Get the Unreal engine. Copy and paste a couple Pokemons in there, and you're good to go.
Yeah, you just get the assets from Pokemon Company. You get the Unreal engine from the Unreal Company. Copy, paste. It prints cash.
We're also talking about the same fan base for probably the last 5 years. The last time Game Freak. This is where the wording is this is where the wording is weird. The last time Game Freak took off a year was in 2015. So 2016 was Sun and Moon. 2017 Ultra Sun and Moon. 2018 Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. 2019 Sword and Shield. 2020 Sword and Shield DLC. They took off 2015, and then in 2014 was Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and 2013 was X and Y. So when we heard Sword and Shield, when we were getting Sword and Shield, one of the biggest complaints, besides they cut my Huntail, I'm very upset. I'm not buying this game. How could they leave Clamperl and Huntail out? Was they're making games too fast. Specifically, they, as in Game Freak. I've said that on this podcast before. Probably 8 years ago, I said, I don't want Pokemon to be a Call of Duty. I don't want Pokemon every single year if it's not quality. So I've said these same words too. So I also just don't understand this. I feel like there's a Venn diagram of people that vocally complained all through Sword and Shield that it was lazy, it was rushed. They're putting out games too quickly. I'm more than willing to wait a year for a quality product. And then I feel like the Venn diagram overlaps to, no Diamond and Pearl remake. Sword and Shield is only like 8 months old, and we just got brand new DLC 2 weeks ago. Slow down.
I don't think the Venn diagram overlaps as much as you're stating. I think the general outrage when one group quiets down, there is more than another happy group to file right in and to continue the outrage level. I don't think the people who are mad at National Dex are suddenly like, oh my gosh, they're not giving me Diamond and Pearl remakes. I think they've just gone off to sulk, and then people who want their remakes, who expect games every year, who want that, have filled in the power vacuum of complaining.
I mean, there are a tremendous number of Pokemon fans out there that can be cut into different groups of what we like to complain about.
I will tell you, Gen 3 fans might be my favorite.
Hey!
They announced Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Gen 2 fans rejoiced. Gen 3 fans, they came out of their cabins, they looked at the sky, and they said, soon, our time is coming. And they were pretty loud. They went out, they bought brand new trumpets, they marched around for several years, they finally got Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and then they shut up. We never heard from them again. They went back into their cabins, they put their trumpet under their bed, they sat it on their lazy boy recliner, and they've been playing Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire since. We haven't seen them. But the day...
You see me every week!
The day that they announced Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, every Gen 4 fanboy just shot up from their bed. They put their pants on, and they said, my time is now. Here we go. But during this time of this great war of Gen 3 people being happy and Gen 4 people being like, it is our time now, the Gen 2 people go, it's not good enough for us. We're back. We need another remake of Gold and Silver. And now we have Gold and Silver and Diamond and Pearl fans just clamoring for something new. And
I agree they need to remake Gen 2 into a good game.
They do. And the Gen 5 fans are waiting. But you mark my word.
They're all going to crawl up. No. Who had the underground bases? That was 4, wasn't it?
That was 4.
Yeah, Gen 4. Yeah. Gen 4 needs to crawl back underground to the underground secret bases. What did Gen 5 have?
Gen 5 had seasons.
Have any secret?
They had seasons. They had good gameplay. They had
we need seasons.
They had the starting of
seasons
getting rid of
and Night and Day.
Unlimited both. TMs. They had decent PC boxes. Man, Gen 5 is a good game.
Oh, now I finally, after all of my years of everything, finally some recognition. Yes.
This is the thing we're going to hear. Once Gen 4 remakes are announced, those Gen 5s are going to be like, finally, you people can appreciate the depression we've been living in for a decade.
Finally, it's my season.
So that didn't happen. And, that could have happened, right? They announced Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon pretty quickly after Sun and Moon. But I don't know if we said this last week or I said this last week. Could they have announced a remake of an old game? Yeah, sure. They could. They literally announced a toothbrush game last week. Like, they can announce anything.
They can do what they want.
But I think it's really important from a company perspective. If you're going to do DLC for the first time, you don't announce another game that could possibly conflict with that.
Right.
Especially when you have stockholders that are looking at your products, and the stockholders, probably would be like, what about a new game? Because we know what that does. We know that a third version of a game moves millions and millions of copies. Yeah. I feel like it's just very important for them to focus this year on the DLC, and maybe tomorrow they announce Diamond and Pearl remakes, so they could do whatever they want. But it's going to come eventually. Look, they're going to make Gen 10 games. They're going to make Gen 11 games. They're going to remake Gen 6. They're going to remake Gen 7. They're going to remake Gen 8. All of these things will eventually be coming because it's been proven time and time again that it works. Last thing I want to say before we get to point 3, which is the Tencent issue, is the people that are like, they should have switched Snap and this game. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that. There is no way. Snap will probably sell 4 million copies. It will probably do much, much better than Pokken Tournament. But Pokemon Unite will probably make $4 million in the first week. Didn't Masters make like 23 million in the first month or something?
Yeah.
But even more than that, let me tell you 100% what we're not seeing that's behind the curtain. Pokken Tournament was supposed to be Pokemon esports, and nobody wanted it. Guess what?
Guess what?
Pokemon Unite will be Pokemon esports, and they're banking on making jillions out of having competitive tournaments and people buying tickets and all the hype that's going to go around that. Absolutely.
They didn't even announce like holiday 2020 for Snap. I don't think that game's coming out this year.
No.
I think we roll into a beta / early program for this is actually what I think, because there were some people saying that this shouldn't have been its own trailer, and I think those people are wrong, and I think those people forgot that they did like a 2-minute silhouette of a bunch of people trading cards, linking their Game Boys, battling their cards, playing Pokken Tournament, and I don't know, 18 different scenes of people cheering at world tournaments. There's not a doubt in my mind that this trailer was supposed to be for the 2020 World Championship that they showed. There's not a single doubt that this was like some tacked on thing that they did last minute. No, I'm confident, and they'll never say this, the Pokemon Company will never admit this, that this trailer was meant for the World Championship. They were going to show it to a bunch of people at the World Championship that are excited for battle, and it would have went over extremely well. But instead, there was a bunch of crybabies that woke up at 6 a.m. and they saw the trailer, and it wasn't what they wanted, and now they had to scream on the internet that They had to do some sort of mental gymnastics of how this was the worst thing in the entire world, and the Pokemon Company will cease to exist in 2 weeks because of this announcement. Last part of this argument of why people were maybe upset. The Tencent deal. It has 156,000 dislikes, or whatever that's worth.
Nothing.
3 million people watched it. 156 million dislikes is a drop in the bucket to 3 million. Whatever. None of that matters. Besides its talking point, I guess. So Tencent is... Tencent is like... If you don't know Tencent, I'll try to explain it as easy as possible. Tencent is like Amazon and Microsoft and Disney all merged into a company and made pretty much everything. Music, games, home shopping network.
That's just basically
apps.
Disney on its own right there.
Yeah.
Tencent is a very, very, very big Chinese company. If we take a step out, Pokemon recently made their first attempt in China with Sun and Moon. That was the first games with traditional and simplified Chinese, Mandarin and Cantonese. Cantonese, thank you. That's not to say, somebody in China didn't import a game, right? But
right.
Putting games on shelves there. So even if you think for a second that Unite was not made for you, there are fans in other countries besides America. Spoiler. Japan does have internet. There are Pokemon fans all over the world, specifically in China. So it is possible that the Pokemon Company doesn't care about everyone else and specifically wants us to succeed in China. That is possible. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. If Pokemon fans are still Pokemon fans, regardless of where they live, and there are limitations to play stuff in China, and if this is their way to give those fans something more, that's fine. Like, that's the same thing with Pokemon Smile. I mean, it's meant for little kids. Just because it's not meant for you doesn't mean it wasn't still a thing that they should have made. But some people have a problem with Tencent, and I'm not here to defend Tencent. There's a lot of not great companies in the world. But I can give you the history of Tencent. I can tell you what games they have made, and they are the largest tech conglomerate. Yes, they're that. In China. They're the biggest one. They are the world's largest video game publisher. They both provide internet and entertainment in China. So this is off PC Gamer. This was published October 4th, 2019, so relatively recently. We'll just go through this. They are both the internet and entertainment giant in China. They are the equivalent of a Facebook or a Google, but gamers worldwide are probably more familiar with Tencent's investments into a growing number of game developers and publishers. They have 300 investments in their portfolio. Staying on top of every company that Tencent has a stake in can be daunting. So the author here has created a list of Tencent's public investments in foreign gaming companies, basically companies outside of China, including, where possible, how much of the company Tencent owns. All right, so let's start with number one. Riot Games, who makes League of Legends, and they own 100% of Riot Games. So that's big. League of Legends, undoubtedly a very, very big game.
Yep.
In 2011, Tencent went from being Riot's gaming publisher partner in China to the majority stakeholder after paying $400 million for a 93% stake in League of Legends. 4 years later, Tencent got the remaining 7% for an undisclosed amount, taking full control over Riot Games, just as League of Legends was exploding as an esports around the world. And then League of Legends, the most popular PC game in the world, pulling an estimated $1.4 billion in revenue last year. Riot Games remains largely free to steer the game how it pleases, but that relationship has some ugly downsides. Wanting to cash in on the mobile game boom, Tencent tried to get Riot to make a mobile version of LOL. When the developer refused, Tencent went ahead, made their own mobile version clone of LOL called Arena of Valor. That became one of the most popular mobile games in Asia. Riot was not happy about this. That is now mostly water under the bridge now that Tencent abandoned Arena of Valor in the West, and Riot is now making a mobile version of League of Legends. So there's your first one. Now you can say, Greg, Steve, Will, I don't play League of Legends. This doesn't matter. I'm never going to play a Tencent game. Let's move on to number 2. Because I guarantee you're using a Tencent product at the end of this podcast. Epic Games. They own 40%. Tencent invested $330 million into Epic Games in 2012, triggering one of the most dramatic shifts in PC gaming in the last decade, ushering a new era of free-to-play games. Epic scrapped Unreal Engine 4 monthly subscription in favor of a free version where Epic earned royalties on sales. The biggest Epic game. Okay. At the same time, Epic began experimenting with live services like Paragon and Fortnite. While both games, Fortnite saved the world. While both games were failures, Save the World put Epic into a perfect spot to jump on the Battle Royale bandwagon almost by accident, creating the biggest gaming pop culture phenomenon since Minecraft and Pokemon. Last year, Fortnite made $2.4 billion, making it the most profitable game that year. So now you say, well, Steve, I don't play League of Legends. I don't play Fortnite.
I don't. I can't even do that floss dance.
Tencent owns 11.5% of Bluehole, which is Players Unknown Battleground. Tencent owns both Fortnite and a piece of both Fortnite and PUBG, 2 dominant battle royales. What's more amusing is that Tencent also has the rights to publish both games in China, meaning that it's in actual competition with itself. Not a bad place to be in. Tencent's investment in Bluehole became apparent in 2017, acquiring 1.5% of Bluehole and then increasing that for an undisclosed amount rumored to be about 10%. It is rumored that Tencent will be trying to. Is rumored that Tencent is seeking a complete acquisition of Bluehole currently.
Wait, how much of Apex Legends do they own?
Apex is EA.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. You look. You don't like battle royales. I get it, right? You don't like the PUBG. You don't like the Fortnite. Not interested in the League of Legends.
I like watching them.
What if I told you that Tencent helped Ubisoft survive?
I don't play any Ubisoft games.
That's not true.
They own 5% of Ubisoft at the time, and they took it over from Vivendi, who at the time was Ubisoft's largest stakeholder for years. Vivendi has steadily acquired a stake in Ubisoft, hoping to oust its founders and seizing control for itself, putting out thousands of jobs. The situation looked grim. Ubisoft struck a deal with Vivendi that saw the French
conglomerate
divest its stake in a variety of investors that included Tencent. As part of its agreement, though, Tencent is just a silent partner that cannot increase its voting rights in its ownership of Ubisoft, making a hostile takeover by Tencent impossible. The acquisition of Ubisoft shares also was a strategic partnership where Tencent would publish Ubisoft games in China. So if you're playing Assassin's Creed in China, Tencent published it. Now, Greg, you stay away from all these games. Some would say
I don't play Ubisoft games.
Some would say maybe you're a fan of the Overwatch or the Diablo or the World of Warcraft even.
I left that life behind.
Well, not Tencent. They own 5% of Activision Blizzard.
How much of Square Enix do they own?
Ooh.
Look, this is a long...
That's how we get Greg.
Yeah, so far you're batting 0.
Years before Ubisoft, Tencent helped another company escape to Vivendi, Activision Blizzard. Activision fell under Vivendi's control back in 2007 when it merged in order to join forces with Blizzard, benefiting from the enormous success of World of Warcraft. 5 years later, the merged companies of Activision Blizzard announced a deal to buy back Vivendi's stake in the company to become an independent. And Tencent jumped at the opportunity, bought 5% of Activision Blizzard for an undisclosed amount. There's another big game that I think I personally think this game will get even bigger in the next year. I don't think any of us play it. Tencent owns 80% of Grinding Gear games, which make Path of Exile. And I think Path of Exile hasn't exploded yet. It's very, very popular, but I think it will get a lot bigger this year and next year.
How much of Gardenscapes do they own?
100%.
We're getting there. So other investments worth noting. Supercell. They make games like Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, Boom Beach. Tencent owns 84.3%. They invested
them behind
$8.6 billion into the Finnish mobile developer, one of the biggest purchases in video game history. You know, there's some fans out there. They love the Bayonetta. They love the what's the other game that people Nier Automata. They love the Platinum. I hear this all the time. Platinum games, they make good games. Guess what? Tencent's invested a undisclosed amount in Platinum games. Tencent owns an undisclosed amount as of February of 2020 into Jaeger, the developer of Spec Ops. Koka, a South Korean entertainment and internet company with the mega hit Black Desert Online. Tencent owns 13.5% of that game. Paradox Entertainment, they own 5% of that. They make Hearts of Iron 2. Fat Shark, 36% of Fat Shark. They make Warhammer. That is the second largest Swedish developer that Tencent invested in. 29% of Funcom. They make Conan Exiles, A Secret World. Shark Mob, they own 100% of that. They're a studio that made, they used to make The Division and Hitman. They were fully bought by Tencent in 2019.
Ooh, I like The Division. That was a good game.
You're listening to this podcast. You're like, I hate Tencent. I don't play League of Legends. I don't play Supercell games. I don't play Path of Exile. But you better believe I'm going to complain on Discord about Pokemon UNITE. Guess what? Discord received $158 million in funding, including an undisclosed amount from Tencent.
That's where they got me.
That's okay. I don't use Discord. I'm on r/Pokemon complaining about Tencent. Hate to break it to you. Reddit got $150 million investment from Tencent.
I thought Reddit was owned by that magazine publisher. They do Vogue and GQ. Oh, goodness, why did it just leap out of my brain? Condé Nast.
They're in trouble.
Well, maybe that's why they needed the investment.
Yeah, they needed the investment.
I have verified that Gardenscapes is made by Playrix, which has no involvement with Tencent. So,
I think Gardenscapes is like still top 10 most profitable mobile games, though. I believe.
I certainly put a lot of money into it.
So the whole point of that wasn't to like convince you that Tencent's a good company. You can do your own research about that. A lot of fans that I saw over the week, they told me that they would never, ever, ever do anything that involved Tencent. But Tencent is surprise. Yeah, surprise. Tencent is way more than just a couple very big video games. They have their hand in Reddit. They have their hand in Discord. And I
believe they're called tendrils at this point. They have long given up on the inefficiency of hands.
And in 5 years, when Tencent comes to America and they're battling Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, and Disney for full ownership of our lives, we'll remember this podcast.
Battling is in quotes. The amount of collusion that happens with all the big companies would shock you.
I hope that Pokemon UNITE is good. I hope it's fun. I hope it's great. I hope it's not super money grabby. I believe in League of Legends and both Dota. There's no pay to win. It's just you pay money for hats or skins. I think Dota is the hats.
Gotta get those skins, man. You gotta get those skins.
I have to pick a main that has a bad shiny, so I'm not tempted to buy its shiny skin.
Don't know what it's like for Arena of Valor, which I guess is probably the comparable one, Will. I don't know if you played that one on Switch or anything.
Didn't play it long enough to find out where I'd be throwing money.
But all of these games, you just jump into a 5v5 match, right? There's no like must pay 99 cents to do your daily match or whatever.
That's correct.
And to go back to the actual developer here, Taimai, I'm not a huge I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan, but I heard Call of Duty Mobile was pretty good.
Oh, those Call of Duty junkies will sing the praises of anything that gets them their fix.
Remake Call of Duty 1. Oh, wait.
We spent a lot of time on Unite. There was a lot to cover. No date, but I expected if there was to be a world championship this year, that they probably would have had kiosks set up at the world championship to play.
No. If Unite came out before the World Championships, I can guarantee you it would have been one of the competitive things, because people are going to, like, the MOBA freaks are just going to be like all ready. Their fingers are on QWER and on their mouse. They are good to, although it's only mobile and Switch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boy, Arena of Valor is not easy to play on the Switch. I mean, for me, you like know, it took me a long time to get the controls for Destiny.
You like the clicking. So this is well, before we take break, last question. So if you look at something like Pokken Tournament, I don't know how many fans from like Mortal Kombat or Dead or Alive or Tekken, I like Pokemon and I want to try a new fighting game and moved over, versus how many people that were like, I'm not really in that scene, but I like Pokemon and now I'm in that scene. So the same thing with Unite. Are there going to be people who their life is League of Legends and they decide to try this and then just go back to League?
Oh, they'll never leave League. Yeah. Once you're in League, you don't ever get out. That's just a fact.
But I know in my example, there's me who's never played a MOBA, who's like, I might like this, and it might be a game that I play on a daily or weekly basis if I like it. Which is a big if.
It's a big if.
I don't know what the crossover is, though.
Well, I mean, who knows? Like, I'm sure there are people who casually play League of Legends, wish they could be better at it, but, like, it doesn't excite them, and this will excite them. They're getting in at the ground floor. They get to be a part of the community. Like, there'll be a certain amount of people who jump in and be like, this is what I've been waiting for forever. I've tried other MOBA games, but I'm just not... I'm so far behind. I feel like I'm so far behind because they've been out for so long. Like, this is a fresh start for a lot of people, and it could be huge. It could also.
I will tell you. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
Okay.
It's a cycle. You're going to get League players who, and it's like every like quarter, a new fresh crop of these dudes show up where they're like, I'm so tired of how toxic the League community is. I don't want to play this game anymore. I've got to stop playing League. And then they're just like, well, but I can play Pokemon Unite because it's like League and doesn't have that toxic. And then they're going to play that for 3 months and then they're going to start jonesing for League again because, the new skins came out or they've got a new champion or something. And then they're going to like put Pokemon Unite aside, and then they're going to be back into League hardcore for 6 months, and then they're going to be like, oh my God, this community is so toxic. League players are the worst. I can't believe, it gets to be 6 o'clock at night, and all the little kids go for dinner, and they're AFK, and I'm just like so frustrated. Everybody on my team sucks. Why are you playing a support main in that lane, and why didn't you ult at that? And then Pokemon Unite is going to be sitting there waiting for them, and they're going to be like, all right, here's like, it's like the children's Tylenol for, when you've just had too much League codeine, and it's just like, I need to step away and get my children's Tylenol, and then you play Pokemon Unite for a little while.
Even if this is a failure in the West, doesn't mean that's a failure for the Pokemon company, because it could still be very, very popular in China or Korea or Japan or Australia, or I don't know, maybe the UK players are over the moon for this. I guess we just don't know. But I thought the announcement was fine. I thought the game looked cool. I hope that it's good. I hope the free to start isn't completely garbage. I still think Pokemon Masters is a little too expensive. I think that Pokemon Go is pretty reasonable. I thought Magikarp Jump was good, money-wise. I thought Pokemon Quest was really good. Out of the all of the, quote-unquote free to start, I think Pokemon Quest did it perfectly. It was like, here, spend $25, you got everything now. But you don't have to spend the $25. You could just do it. I think Animal Crossing is too expensive. The mobile one. I thought
Pocket
yeah.
Camp.
Yeah, I think Pocket Camp's a complete ripoff. If it's anything like MOBAs, you should just be buying hats or skins or clothes.
Yeah. It's probably
You could be buying the shinies.
Yeah. You'll be buying the shinies.
At this point in time, Pokemon is only flex, so that doesn't surprise me. That was it. When we come back, we're going to talk about story stuff in DLC. So if you don't want to hear that, look at the podcast app where everything is timed out. Just it'll be DLC story. Just skip to the next section. The times will all be there if you don't want to hear it. And then we're going to talk about Pokemon DLC, new feature to Masters, bug off event, and then that'll be it. So we will be right back. We are back. Sword and Shield DLC story talk.
All right, 5 seconds. Here we go.
Hop shows up, story over.
Yep.
Thanks for the spoiler.
We warned you. You could have skipped being in this segment.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
We would have just texted you, hey, come back.
Wait, how far are you in the story, Will?
Let me preface by saying I am enjoying the Isle of Armor probably 153 times more than I liked all of Sword and Shield. And in reflecting and wondering why that might be, I think I've come to the realization that the fact that all of the Pokemon hunting you do in the Isle of Armor is the same, and there are no routes that are separated from the wild area, and it's all wild area, I love it. I'm having a great time.
Interesting.
Still some same issues of like how the Pokedex tells you which ones to get and whatever. But I'm good friends with my buddy Cubfu. He hops up and down every time we have battles, and he's real excited and just like, yeah, all that good stuff. Gave him a shell bell. You know how to do. And they said, well, pick a tower. And I walked up to one of the towers and they were like, well, if you do this tower, blah, 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 you can only do one. You can't blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to do the Dark Tower because it reminds me of that 80s game board game that I used to love to play. Then she's like, after I've listened to her speech and everything, she says, make sure your Cubfu is level 70 or you're not going to have a good time. And I was like, but me and my Cubfu are besties and he's only level 51. So I turned away. And also, second, it's not a preface any longer. Interjection, end note, footnote, whatever you want to call it. I do not use those candies that the pseudo rare candies. I never even used rare candies when rare candies were a thing. I level up my Pokemon the natural way.
Oh, I see.
Pokemon battles.
You don't level yourself up the natural way, but you have to do it for Pokemon?
What are you talking about?
We know about your secret steroid use.
I am a natural lifter, sir. No matter what my Instagram haters might say.
Oh, we got the real scoop.
I got the Cubfu. I got it to max friendship, and then somebody in my stream was like, well, it's going to take you a couple hours to do the tower. I said, couple hours?
Couple hours?
Five levels with 5 bosses, right?
Yeah.
I open up my inventory. I go to my 900 max XL candies. I get Cubfu to 93 in about 4 seconds.
No, not going to do it.
And I said...
I did that to my Centiskorch, and I still hate myself for it.
And I said, couple hours. We're ready to go right now.
Yep, that's what I did. I love it. Boost it up. Why wait?
Because I'm not a game gobbler. That's why.
Oh, that's right. All right, Greg.
Yes.
Give me the thoughts of the story. You're the story guy.
I am the story guy. The story is boring.
Boring?
Yeah, it's pretty boring.
No, what? I'm so excited.
I mean, so it starts out fairly promising. Like the pseudo villain that you face, they're an interesting character. The pseudo-villain, let's be real. That whole thing is fine. It's just it never really varies off in any interesting tracks at all. You get this into this dojo where you're not supposed to be because some poor trainer is left at the train station forever while you take their spot.
No, he leaves.
Yeah, he finally leaves.
I thought that was okay. So there's a spoiler. This whole thing's a spoiler. That dude comes back at the end, and it's a super nice touch.
Yeah,
you can miss that part. So when you like get off the train, there's like the scientist, and she's like, "Come back to me when you find all the Pokemon." And then there's that NPC that's standing in the corner. And I would assume most people just think he's an NPC and then just leave. But if you talk to him, he's like, "I'm too scared to go to the dojo."
Yeah.
And then they acknowledge it when you get there, where Honey is like, "Oh, that's not the name we have written down, but you're here, so let's just do it." And then they make that guy come back at the end. Is like they actually did something.
Yeah. The story serves one purpose, which is to introduce you to all the competitive features, and that's all the story does. Like, it really doesn't expand the world. It really doesn't do a whole lot for lore-wise. It's Honey and Mustard, which just bothers me deeply.
Their names or their characters?
Yeah, their names.
I like their names. Look, Melanie's name in Japanese is Melon. Let's.
I mean, I'm not saying that they're the bastions of creativity. The story does what it's supposed to do, and that's fine. It is a story driven by mechanics mainly, and it's incredibly short. It's not particularly surprising. That who's going to be at the top of the towers. I
don't know who's going to be at the top of the tower.
Yeah, you do. If you think about it for like half a second, you know who's going to be at the top of the tower.
Well, I guess I'm not thinking the same way you are.
It's just, it's fine. It's just not very deep. And then I had a little hope when Hop shows up for that storyline to be a little bit more interesting. And it's just to serve the main purpose to get you to understand these mechanics that they're introducing you in the game, which is a good way to introduce and get you to know the mechanics.
It's a good way of showing you everything the game has to offer, instead of being like what they did with Festival Plaza was like, here you go, good luck figuring it out.
But it doesn't make a good story.
I definitely agree that the story is short, but not unexpected. Like, I assumed that we were going to get like, I would probably argue that the story is like 3 to 4 hours if you get distracted.
Yeah, if you get distracted. It's an hour tops if you don't.
Yeah, but if you don't get distracted, I don't know what you're really looking for in a Pokemon game. I don't get how you I honestly don't get how you'd not be distracted by the wild area, by the Pokemon, by exploring. Like, they do the thing that people ask for. We talked about this last week of just, instead of crossing that Diglett bridge, you can just go out to that giant Wailord. You can go out to these islands. You can start doing raids. You can find the hidden cave off the water, and then all of a sudden you're in a cave and you're like behind, and you can find that you can avoid it all and explore. So
distractions to the storyline don't enhance the storyline. Distractions say yes, you can easily spend a lot of time in Isle of Armor. That's not the issue. Isle of Armor as a DLC is good. There are a lot of things to do. The storyline is short and shallow. If you only focus on the story, if like, I'm going to knock out this story, you are there for maybe an hour tops.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's not saying that there's a lot of great things to do in Isle of Armor, because there are. It's just to say the story is not, it's not surprising. It's not fantastic. It is a mechanics driven story, and that takes away from what could have been there. I do think there will be much more story in the next expansion, which is a lot more about exploring. And this was very different. I hope that story is better. This one, it's fine. It is not a revelation. It is not particularly interesting.
I liked it I liked the length. I liked that it was kind of short and sweet. Lore-wise, which is not story-wise, I think like the trainer cards for Mustard and Honey, and Honey will even offer to battle you and stuff. I think that's done really well.
Yep.
And I think all the lore of the characters, Opal and Melanie and Gordy and Bee and Alistair, I think they put so much thought into these characters, they just don't give them spots to shine. They're like,
right.
Here's your battle with them. You're done.
The primary problem with the story of how Sword and Shield is presented is that to find the interesting bits, you have to go find them. They aren't provided to you as part of your ongoing story. And it's an interesting choice. There's a lot of story and lore to be had. I prefer it when you are shown those things in the world as part of the story, and not like an after effect when I look at so-and-so's card and I realize all of these cool things that I really wish I would have seen in the story itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, show me, don't tell me.
This is mechanics, but I think I guess the word is like fetch quests.
Yeah.
Do these fetch quests, I think, is better than battle these 4 trainers to move on to the next part of this story. I don't think they were perfect.
No. And they mixed both, right? Like, it was definitely flipped between do these fetch quests, then do these battles, then do these fetch quests, then do these battles. Like, it flips between them.
And I think I want that more in Pokemon games. I guess, we had that. Like, when you first play, like, Gold and Silver, they're like, deliver this egg.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is the first time they've done that kind of stuff.
Yeah, then they drop it halfway through. Then it's just all battles.
But I think it was definitely fun and delightful to see a bunch of Slowpoke zooming around.
Yeah, that was cute.
They do some cute moments. Like, there are some fun moments, sure.
And I think they give Kubfu enough time to shine.
Yeah.
And I think it just proves that if the Pokemon Company takes time to focus on a Pokemon, people end up liking that Pokemon more.
Yeah. I mean, there are some downsides, like it's basically the island of triplets. Everybody in the JoJo looks exactly like...
right. Yeah.
There's a lot of... there's a lot of those things that make, like, the dojo feel a little more shallow than it could be. Like, if they had just taken some of the models that they had used elsewhere in the game and just put them in dojo clothes, like if they weren't all these fit people, if there were some, older people who were hanging around, if they had just taken other models and put them in those clothing and dumped them in there, dojo would have felt more full and alive. They don't even
need other models. They have 40 hairs. Just change up the hair.
No, they all had to wear the man bun.
Ugh.
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, you're complaining about models. I literally live in Stow-on-Side, and the dude who buys something from you and the man standing next to him who sells you something are exactly the same dude.
I believe they're brothers, though. To be fair, they're
twins. The twins are popular in the Pokemon world.
True.
We know this.
That's true. Okay, the other part of the DLC, when you do fight Mustard at the top of the tower.
Spoiler!
And he, rips off his, grandpa hoodie. I think the problem, and maybe this is what you haven't said yet, Greg, but you're thinking is that Mustard is such a good character, they don't give him enough time, and they easily could have.
Easily.
Like, he's such a good character.
He is a great character that they just don't do enough with.
I do really enjoy that every time he sends you out for a mission and you're in the middle of doing it, but you haven't finished it yet, he's playing Switch. What is it?
Yep.
What is he? Is
he's
he playing
Pokemon Quest?
He's playing Pokemon Quest.
And if you stand in front of the TV,
funny.
he yells at you.
I know, I've done that several times.
He's like, move! Mustard has a ton of great personality, and Honey and Mustard both do. There's just not enough story to let them really shine.
Yeah, I think that's a good complaint. I don't know. I don't know if the island's big enough to give you more story though. What else? The thing I worry about, and I think why I liked this story better, is because I go back and I think of Ortaz's Delta episode, which I felt like was twice as long as this, and I hated every minute of it. because it was like, fly here, talk to this person, fly here, talk to this person. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to just skip all the fun.
That's exactly what happened. That's what happened in this one too. It's just all contained in one island, and the entire island
was done
is
without
new.
flying. Exactly.
The only difference is that this is entirely a new island. It's the exact same quest. It's the exact same quest as the Delta episode, but in the Delta episode, you were visiting places you had already seen, which is not the case for this one, which makes it new and exciting.
That's true.
But it's the same story.
Look, I'm not saying I'm easily tricked.
You are.
I'm just saying the Delta episode was too long and didn't have variety, and there was variety between knocking out Slowpoke, climbing a tower, finding mushrooms, and doing that Vespiquen raid.
You have the wildest memories. You like to ignore a lot of what happened in the Delta episode.
Oh, man. Okay, you climb a tower at the end of the Delta episode, but that's also not great either. It's a lot of talking to not Steven Stone, his dad. I don't remember his dad. Or his nephew. Whoever's the dude in the Stone Museum or whatever. You got to talk to that guy like 40 times. Yeah. But for me, it was like talking to that dude in the beginning, having Honey acknowledge it, having that dude showed up, put a smile on my face, because they actually did the thing of acknowledging the silly dialogue they put into games, and they did the thing where they acknowledged Leon's lostness finally, where Mustard tells you that like you're one of the first students in like several years that have ever gotten this far, and the reason that Leon, who was like his greatest disciple or whatever, doesn't have a Kubfu is because he couldn't figure out which tower to go to. Like, he got lost getting to the towers, and I was like, this is...
Well, wait, then he should have a Kubfu. Yeah. He just doesn't have an Urshi.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. So, like, them acknowledging that was like, finally, they, like, used this lostness thing.
Yeah.
Cleverly, yeah. Yeah. Whereas it didn't really make sense in the, like, him getting lost. Like, he didn't get lost to save the world. He didn't get lost to, like, show up for a stadium match. But because he got lost and couldn't find a tower was, like, cool. You acknowledged it. That's
yeah.
That's awesome.
They do cute touches. There are cute touches throughout the very short, shallow story.
The music was really great, especially for Mustard.
You played with the music on?
Oh, yeah. You got to.
Oh, yeah.
Mustard's song's a banger.
I mean, secretly, the reason why he enjoys these things more is because he has an audience and he's not playing them alone.
Ah.
Look, I listen to a lot of Pokemon music. I mean, like, I guess the answer is, like, how do you want them to make it longer? Without adding pointless battles, which was the worry. It was the worry going into the DLC. How are they going to do this?
I'm not asking for more battles. I'm asking for more exploration as to what the Isle of Armor is. Let's talk about why all these wildly varied biomes are here. Let's talk about exploring the history of why the towers are there. Let's explore. Like, I don't need more battles. I need more lore and more story. I mean,
yeah. Why is your rival dress so weird?
Like, I can't, if you want me to sit down and creatively write an additional story, give me a couple of weeks and I will. I can write a ton of stories that happen.
How do you want them to communicate that, though? Because we saw that they did this in Sun and Moon, where they added these cutscenes, and people were like, okay, cutscenes, too long. The game is 90% cutscenes.
Well, that's because they stacked all the cutscenes up front.
Also, if you're going to go off of one people's complaints, then you're going to have to say, well, then they shouldn't do this, or National Dexter's are right.
I'm just saying, how would you do it? You can say, I want to write more lore and I want more story, but how do you want them to put that into the game? That's what I'm asking. Do you want, more characters standing outside the tower giving you lore? Do you want Mustard to give you more missions?
No, they should do it like Destiny. You pick up little pieces of crud.
No one wants to do that.
You read the crud. I mean, I'd rather do that than find 150 Diglett.
Yeah, there could be a million things. Like, they could easily, for post-game stuff, have trainers from other regions come and say, hey, take me to this area. I've never seen this. I'm trying to catch this. You know, there's a ton of ways that they could bring other characters from the entire Pokemon universe to this that you get to interact on a daily basis. Or Mustard could say, hey, we're getting a bunch of new arrivals who are coming today. We're getting a new class. Can you go pick them up at the train station? Have little bits about that, and they can talk more about a bunch of stuff. Like, there's a million ways you can do that. Like, it's not like the sky's the limit. They can do whatever they wish. What do I want? I would love to have daily visitors. I would love to have people from
daily
other places
visitors, though,
that are all from the region.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Cynthia show up, or I would like to see a Wallace and Stevenstone vacationing in Galar for a while and going on their second honeymoon. Like, all of these things they could do to extend the story, to give more to the story. There's like a million things they can do. Like, if the story continued after postgame, like making postgame story optional is perfectly fine by me. Like, if it was 1 hour, but I can choose to go talk to these people, to do more things, to learn more about this region, I would love that.
So what I'm hearing is you hate it.
If that's what you took out of that, then you need to re-listen to it.
Yeah, no, I think those are good complaints. I didn't think they were going to do it right this time, and I don't think they did it wrong.
I stand by it's a solid B. It's a solid B. Great, really good. Way better than average.
I give it a 4th grade A junior year B.
So the part we talked about last week, if you don't finish the post game, then Hop doesn't show up. So when you beat Mustard at the top of whatever tower you choose, and you go back to the dojo, Hop is there. He's there to be his professor or to help Sonia. They hint that Sonia's in a snowy area. I don't know if people caught that hint.
Yeah.
So she'll obviously come back for the Crown Tundra.
Unless she doesn't survive.
Yeah, that's true. By the time we get there, she could be frozen solid.
Yep.
And so Hop wants you... I think the Hop stuff is mostly to Gigantamax your Urshifu.
Yeah.
To teach you about the soup and mustard.
And confirmed, if you have not done all the way to... Because Hop decides to do that, after you do the battle to catch one of the wolves, right? Or you battle him again.
You have to do the whole Swordbird and Shieldbird storyline.
Yeah.
Which is
after that, because I know people were asking me on Twitter, what do I have to finish? And I'm like, you have to finish that whole end.
You pretty much have to if there's a flag on your map, you have to finish all the flags, is what it is. Because that flag was bothering me for however many months or weeks.
Yeah, you need to get to the part at the very end when he decides he's going to be a professor, because that's what he really wants to do.
The Vespiquen match was awesome.
It was very fun.
I haven't come across that yet.
It's a very big surprise when it happens, and I was not sure what the mechanics were when I got in there.
It's kind of like when you played Red and Blue for the first time, and you get to Cerulean City, and you're like, I just want to explore the town real quick, and you walk up a little bit, and then your rival shows up. And he's like, oh, we're battling. And you're like, no, I just got here. I don't know where the Pokemon Center is. I just walked into the town. That's what the Vespiquen part reminded me of. And it's not like I lost it the first time because I literally had one Cubfu on my team. But, if you had a Talonflame or something, it's relatively easy. And when people are always like, I want Pokemon games to be hard, I feel like people remember that moment, or the moment where you get to the end of the SSN. And you're like, I just want to see what's down this hallway, and then your rival pops up. And it's not because it's hard. It's just there are these unexpected instances where you're not prepared, and that's what actually screws you over, and not specifically because you suddenly forgot how to battle. It's just I just wanted to see what's down this hallway, and now I'm stuck in this battle, and all I got is a level 30 Rattata that's half health, and I lose because of that.
I will say that, actually, now that I'm thinking back to where I am in the game, that what was super frustrating for me was I walked up to the tower and the woman said, you can only have Cubfu in your party. Yes. And so I took all the Pokemon out of my party and saved and was like, okay, I'm ready. And then I walked up again and she's like, and make sure your Cubfu is level 70. If she had said that first, I would have walked away and taken care of things and not spent all that time getting all the Pokemons out of my party.
The game does, though. It's smart enough to know that you put an Everstone on the Cubfu. So when I finished Mustard and he's like, go evolve your Cubfu now. And then I touch it. He goes, oh, I see you have an Everstone on your Cubfu. I guess you want to spend more time with Cub Fu, so that's fine. Feel free to leave. Come back when you're ready. It was a really nice touch that they acknowledged.
Yeah, but you couldn't go back and do the other tower still, right?
No.
I know once that choice is made, it's made.
Yeah, I know they opened up. There's sparring or something that opens up when you're done. But I don't know what that is yet. I haven't done
restrictive battling.
Yeah, which is behind the dojo, not in the tower.
Yep.
I really thought they were going to use the towers for something else, but I guess they didn't.
Yeah, no. No, it's restrictive sparring, not battling. Same thing.
Yeah, I thought they would, once you finish the towers, they were going to use them for some battle tower thing where you gotta go up with one Pokemon or something, and that was a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, I'm going to try restrictive sparring at one point. I just have to figure out what type I want to try first.
Fairy.
Maybe.
All right, let's get through this news real quick. Pokemon Masters. Full disclosure, I'm partnered with DNA. They added eggs to the game. This is off their website. You can receive eggs from Professor Bellis when completing areas of the main story or training areas that have featured battles. Pokemon you can hatch of eggs have different roles and passive skills than other Pokemon of the same species. So, currently right now, you can hatch Tauros, female Meowth, female Bellsprout, female Nidoran, male Zubat, and male Rattata. They said other genders will appear in future eggs, and Tauros is allowed to be shiny. They added some new items you can buy. So you get a default egg box, and you get a default incubator. This may sound familiar from Pokemon GO. And then there's a daycare. So when you hatch an egg, it will go to the daycare, and then in the daycare, you can select it to be your partner Pokemon. There's also an egg research ticket. Which will let you auto hatch stuff. But I don't know, Greg, if you've done any of the eggs.
I have done none of the eggs. I have looked at the egg update, but I haven't here's my problem.
Okay.
None of the Pokemon that are currently hatchable from the eggs excite me in any way. So I'm oh, okay, I'll get to it.
Yeah, so there's no walking, like Pokemon GO, and they do a thing where this is kind of a complaint we've had, the real money versus the gems, or the money gems versus the free gems, I guess. Which I just wish there was two different currencies.
Absolutely.
I just wish one was gems and one was diamonds or something. I don't know. I don't like the little tiny text that says the paid. You can only do egg stuff with real money. So your egg box can hold 4 eggs. Think of this in Pokemon GO where you can hold 9. You can spend 180 gems, which is what, $2, to expand it to hold 8. And then you get 1 free incubator, just like in Pokemon GO. And you can get another incubator for $3. That incubator is permanent, though. Unlike Pokemon GO, $2 incubator in Pokemon GO I think lasts 3 times and then it breaks. This incubator is permanent. But you can only buy the egg upgrade box and the incubator with paid gems. And this is what got me to actually spend money in this game.
You fool.
But I am always a sucker for permanent things. If you're going to tell me my egg box is permanently upgraded and I'm permanently with an incubator, I'm into that. So I ended up spending $10 in Pokemon GO or Pokemon Masters. I have 2 egg incubators. This is pretty much how it works. There's a 20% chance when you do a battle in the story or a training battle that an egg drops. They drop into your egg box. There's either 1-star, 2-star, or 3-star eggs. They all have the same Pokemon I listed above, or in this episode. And then you can pick which egg you want to put in an incubator, just like Pokemon GO. And then a 12-hour countdown starts. And then you have to do 3 of any battle to get it to hatch. So if you just wait the 12 hours, it doesn't hatch. You got to do 12 hours plus 3 battles, and that's it. And if you put 2 eggs in an incubator and you do 3 battles, it'll apply to both. Relatively easy and simple. You just got to wait 12 hours. And I've hatched so far a Nidoran, a Rattata, a Meowth, 2 Tauros, and a Bellsprout. There's no walking. There's no jumping through hoops. You just get your eggs, you put them in, you wait 12 hours, you're good to go. And the last thing you can buy, which I didn't, is an Accelerator Pass. And that's 500 gems. And it says that it adds an additional limit. It adds a limited time incubator, so this one will break. It will only last 14 days. When all your incubators are in use, you can select up to 4 eggs from your box, and it will just auto incubate them. So you don't have to you don't have to set an alarm for 12 hours, wake up, put more eggs in, move on. So that's more of like an automated thing, which we've seen in other games. I think Clash Royale had that, where you could manually open one chest at a time, but if you bought the season pass, it would queue up a chest for you. So I did not purchase that because it was not permanent. I have had a couple people say they fell off Masters. The egg stuff brought them back. They thought the egg stuff was fun and doesn't seem very money grabby. I mean, they can't take any more of my money. I gave them the $5 to get the first incubator and the $2 to get the thing. There's no more money for them to take from me. So,
you say that now.
Well, yeah. I'm sure they'll sell more. If they sell more permanent incubators, I'd probably buy them, but I don't know what the plan is in the future. They have, 6 Pokemon in incubators right now, or in eggs right now? Yeah. Do they add more to that? Do they just swap out all 6? I think it would probably be more exciting if they swap out all 6. I would rather have a smaller pool, knowing what I'm getting. And then the other thing is data miners determined that the chance for shiny Tauros is 1%, give or take, 1.17 or 0.97, because I think it's 0.97 in 1 star, and then it's 1.17 in 3 star. So a 1 out of 100 chance for a shiny Pokemon, I don't think is awful. I mean, even if
that's not bad at all.
That's not bad.
Even if you don't pay any money, you can do 2 eggs a day. I don't think that's bad. I think it's pretty good.
Have you played with any of the eggs that you've hatched? How is the partnering system? Do your moves change? Do your moves change with the Pokemon? Are there different skills to buy with Tauros than with...
Yeah, so one of my Tauroses know Blizzard, and then another Tauros knows Thunderbolt. So they do hatch with different moves and different abilities, and the shiny one is locked to a really good moveset, what I've been told. So the one Tauros I have is a support, and then the other Tauros I have is what's the exclamation mark? Not striker, but
technical. Tech. Yeah.
And then the shiny one can only be a striker, which is the best for Tauros, according to people who play the game way more than I do. Yeah.
I'm a little worried about the more eggs that come in, and the more it is still a way to feed into the grind of, now that I've got this Tauros that I want that shiny, now I have to go through the same grind to get all the things to level this pair up. I'm also feeling a little weird about when they start doubling up with Pokemon that other sync pairs already have.
Wait, does somebody have Tauros currently?
No, but there's going to come a point when that happens. And so just thinking down the future of how that's going to be managed, or if they're just never going to, they're only going to limit to eggs to Pokemon that other don't have, even though they've already done that with Charizard and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that the eggs just stick to Pokemon that may be somebody's favorite, but, a gym leader doesn't end up using.
I hope so. I'm just curious how it's going to play out in the future.
I just also hope that this 1% doesn't get dramatically dropped to 0.0003% as they add more Pokemon, because I think 1% is good. 1% is exciting to hatch eggs, and I don't think DNA came out and said hey, these are the odds, but because the data miners were you have a 5% chance of getting Tauros, 1% chance of that being shiny. Or 5 plus 1 is 6, and then 30% chance for Rattata, 20% chance for we know what they are. And I like when loot boxes show that transparency, and I think that's why I'm so frustrated with Pokemon Go eggs, and I've been frustrated with Pokemon Go eggs. It's like, well, they said fossils are in here, but I keep getting anoriths. I heard there's supposed to be Aerodactyls in these. And I get it, like the Sulphur Road, like they'll, find 1,000 people, they'll calculate the odds, but just tell us. Just let me know. The mystery. All right, this podcast is going on too long. There's a bug out event.
Yeah,
okay,
there's bugs.
Weird thing. They canceled Pinsir Raid Day.
Yeah.
June 24th, PokemonGoLive.com. Trainers, the following events have been canceled, postponed, or changed. Pinsir Raid Day. This event has been canceled. Be sure to follow social media to stay up to date. That's literally all they said.
I mean,
if it's...
We know why.
If it's COVID related, yeah, it's bad in the United States, but there are other countries that it's not as, like, that have it under control, and this is a worldwide game, so.
Yeah, but they also aren't going to be like, America, you are bad, so we've canceled it for you. Because that is just PR that's a PR headache they do not need.
But why don't they just say we're canceling it because of COVID? That's what they've done this. They said, hey, we're not doing Wednesday night raids because of the current economic conditions. Like,
I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to be a bummer.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not even going to go down that road. Folks, DM me if you want the real opinion, okay? Because I can't say that here.
You text it after.
The bug event is going on now.
Yeah, it's not great.
It exists.
I did buy Go Fest tickets. I don't know why. I just did.
I bought Go Fest ticket. I want to do something cool for it. Probably.
Oh, I'm going to be at your house for Go Fest, maybe.
Oh, yeah, because you got that wedding.
Yeah.
You're actually going to a wedding?
Oh, but let's not. Please continue forward.
What is Go Fest is the 25th, 26th. So it is before my birthday.
I can't believe you're abandoning me, Will.
Why don't you just come down?
You could be my date to the wedding.
Just bring the disease wherever you go. It's not like Milwaukee's doing a very good job at stopping it.
Oh, boy.
Zeraora. Speaking of stopping things,
it
looks like we just needed to wait a weekend.
I told you.
1.4 million completes on Zeraora. So
I did my part.
Shiny Zeraora will be distributed on, I believe it starts on June 30th. So I had a bunch of people come into stream being like, where's my Zeraora? It's done. And I was like, whoa, slow down. No. Pokemon.com. Read the press release here. Gotta wait till June 30th.
We did it, but you have to wait.
And then for every 100,000 after 1 million is an Armorite ore.
Yeah.
We don't know. This was, Brandon sent this in. This was 1.4 on Tuesday of last week. So if we got to 2 million, that's 10 bonus Armorite ore. So we'll see. We'll see, I guess, probably in a day or two if that gets added.
Yeah.
As of this podcast, the trainer toolkit is in stock, $29 on Pokemon Center. Not a sponsor. I don't know if it'll be sold out by the time this podcast goes up. But if you're looking for that, it has 2 bosses orders, 2 Dedenne GXs, 4 booster packs. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it looks like a good deal.
For the price, yeah. I mean, $30. That's like a meal at Five Guys.
What are you ordering at Five Guys?
What? 2 people at Five Guys is like
okay,
30. 2 people at Five Guys is definitely $30. If you're getting the fries and the sodas and the...
Look, folks, don't go to Five Guys. They don't have onion rings. Find a quality hamburger producer.
Ooh, hot take. This podcast is way too long. We're going to skip question of the week. Sorry again. Hopefully there's no more breaking.
Killing me.
Look, Tencent paid for at least an hour of the show, so we had to...
I come up with these brilliant songs.
Look, we're in the pocket of big
Tencent.
Big Tencent.
Big Tencent. No,
Tencent now owns a controlling share of ISE.
We will be on Tencent's exclusive podcast network starting next week. They own everything else in the world.
Why not?
Will, Pokemon of the week.
All right, so last week's Pokemon was taken from Gravante's Field Guide to Pokemon Visual Identification.
I'm not over that yet. You can't spring that on me.
It's hardly a spring. It's summer, dude. It's after June 21st. Japanese refer to this insect as Pendror, coming from Scolopendra. And it swaps colors from its previous evolution for the major and minor colors. It is one of the Pede Pokemon, previously known as Centipede and Curlipede, and then it becomes the Megapede Pokemon. It has Poison Point, Swarm. It used to have Quick Feet, but that was not carried forward after Unova. And it could be confused for Centiskorch, Drapion, or Giratina, but it is not any of those. So who was that Pokemon?
It's
Avalugg.
Avalugg? Is that even a Pokemon or is that a table?
It's a table.
They've run out of ideas. It's like every time it's an ice-type Pokemon, they've run out of ideas.
It's an IKEA table and a Pokemon. It's Scolipede.
Scolipede. You are 100% correct. It is. And also, anybody who's on my Snapchat can watch me hatching Venopedes every day.
I do. It's real good. You got that Dupiter. I was so excited.
Oh, man. I was on the phone. You all heard that.
Scolipede shuffle icon is sweet.
Do we have any trivia about Scolipedes?
I got a Scolipede plush in my house. That's pretty good trivia.
Didn't even know they made one.
Oh yeah, he's a thick little boy.
Scolipede is November in the Nova horoscope.
That sounds about right. Have you ever met anybody who's born in November?
I'm married to one.
There you go. That case proven.
Yeah, there's not a lot about Scolipede here. It's a good Pokemon though. It's a real good bug Pokemon. I like him a lot.
I like it too. That's why I am now shiny breeding one. Hopefully within the year I'll get it. All right, this week's Pokemon. I'm phoning it in this week, so
it's Chatot.
Nah, not quite. This Pokemon, one of the most forgettable Pokemon, was only ever available in the world between April 16th, 2016 and through February 28th, 2017. We originally discovered it as part of a data miner leak in 2014, so we're really surprised when it finally appeared over 2 years later. It is the last Pokemon in the Central Kalos Pokedex, even though it was distributed when the Hoenn region was the primary region and 1 month before we all started exploring Alola. There you go. So forgettable, you've already forgotten what it is.
That is our show. I don't know if we're getting any breaking Pokemon news in the next week. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
So
can't handle this roller coaster of emotion.
Next week we have some Pokemon Go news regarding what they plan out for July, the lead up to Pokemon Go Fest. They're doing some stuff for that. We'll be talking about I think by then all three of us will have played enough Cafe Mix. I've only heard positive things about Cafe Mix. I heard it's pretty fun.
I've been having fun with it, yeah. The art is super cute.
So we will talk about that next week. I made an Apricorn guide, so if you're looking how the Scam-O-Matic works, that is on Twitter. If you are curious about some of the walking animations, I made a really good walking animation video on YouTube. I'm working on trying to make a Max Mushroom guide right now on YouTube, because the stereotypical answer is do 3 Max Raids and Max Mushrooms will appear, and that's not the case. And so I just want to clear up any confusion. Can you have more than one spawn? Can you keep doing raids? What kind of raids count? How many raids do you got to do? Where are they located? So I'm going to try to do some of that. There should actually be a YouTube video of everything you can do daily in Sword and Shield that we'll be putting up. So trying to just make more helpful guides and content. Most of my life on Twitch is answering questions. So I just want to make helpful stuff. Hopefully you made it to the end of this podcast. Hopefully it was good. Starting on June 1st. Sorry, it's way past June 1st. July 1st. Good time to sign up for the Patreon. If you're considering supporting, I would not sign up between now and before July 1st. Otherwise, Patreon will charge you twice. But if you're thinking about joining to get a part of the Slack, July is our 10-year anniversary of doing the podcast. So we are under the wire to launch a new product or a new thing that I think you guys will like. Working with some people on that. So we are looking for some artists in regards to that. So if you're in the Slack, we will probably pull from Slack first to help with that. Paid, of course. As much as exposure pays your water bill. I am paying any artist that does want to help with this project. But that should launch near the end of the month in July. That's it. That's our episode. Greg is at White Wing on Twitter. I'm at Dragging a Lake. Will is at Washing the Sink. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at PKMNcast. And I'll be streaming on Twitch all week if you want to come by. We had a couple people come through saying they listened to the podcast and first time on Twitch. So always good to see those people. Thank you for listening. We'll see you guys next week. This has been another episode of the Pokemon Podcast. And we are
super effective.
Super bring back seasons for Sawsbuck.
A quick shout out to everyone who supports us on Patreon. If you would like to support It's Super Effective, you can head over to patreon.com/It's Super Effective, or you can head over to isc.cash if you would like to support the podcast. A shout out to our producers of this episode, Kevin, Potato, Raitan, Liam, Courtney, Casey, Kay, Patrick, Jetsy, Catherine, and Matthew. A special thanks to our executive producers, Spencer, Anthony, and Lewis. Thank you guys so much for your support. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week.